All right, folks, welcome back. Joining us now is Newsmax White House correspondent John Gizzi. Hello, John.
Hello, Steve. Nice to be back here.
And nice to have you back so soon as well. All right, let's talk a little bit about Governor Scott Walker. Now, you know, a lot of people make the assumption that, what's that?
Everybody else is talking. I was at a panel on the elections this morning at the American Enterprise Institute. That came up at length, as much as any Senate or House race.
Yeah, no, well, a lot of people, what I was going to say, a lot of people think of him as a, definite Republican candidate seeking the nomination for 2016, but he has this little governor's race going on now, and it's a very tight race.
Yes, it certainly is, and it's interesting. Democrat Mary Burke, whose highest election was to a position on a school board, became the candidate for governor when better-known Democrats decided to take a pass on the race. After Governor Walker became the first governor in American history to survive a recall, other Democrats decided this guy is unbeatable. Well, polls show he's in a close race right now, and I heard all the predictions about what may happen. Two things I will point out to you, Steve. Number one, and I've covered Governor Walker since his election. I was there in Wisconsin for the recount, and I can point this out. Whenever someone does things that are big ideas, puts them into effect, and they make major change, in his case, the reform of pensions and health care for many public employees, they're bound to make enemies for life and be controversial. He told me he'll never win by a landslide, but he made enough change that he believes people will reward him. The second thing is the polls show it closed in part because the name Walker is so incendiary. It reminds me of Jesse Helms in North Carolina, the late Mayor Frank Rizzo. Someone is so controversial you don't admit to pollsters you're voting for him, and guess what? They win bigger than the polls say. I'll predict right now for the Malzberg panel, Walker by 53%, just under his total in the recount of 2000, or rather the recall of 2012, right. 54.
Well, you are the Malzberg panel. There's no panel. You're the featured guest. But let me ask you this. And by the way, you keep wearing that hat. I'll have you back every single day as a featured guest. I love the hat. And it reminds me of Larry King. Larry King, who once asked Yasser Arafat, if you could believe this, the killer of more Jews than anyone since Adolf Hitler. He sits there next to Yasser Arafat. He says, "Hey, Yasser, what about the hat? Tell me about the hat." Anyway, I swear. All right, let me ask you this. This controversy, of course, I think the official name of it is the Act 10, or the Wisconsin Budget Repair Bill 10, which, trash the unions, take away collective bargaining. Even the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, which was railed against that at the time, trashed it at the time, had to admit that it saved taxpayers more than $3 billion, and they're now singing a different tune. It's amazing.
It is amazing, and it's not just that. You really know you've succeeded when your enemies adopt your own plan. Governor Walker deliberately left out police and firefighters because he felt the public safety should not be interfered with. Their pensions and health care plans would stay the same. It would be all other state, county, and municipal employees who were affected, paying a little bit more than ever, and a little bit less than people in the private sector pay for their own 401ks. And guess what? Many local police and firefighters in the Badger State have now voluntarily adopted the same kind of health care plan and retirement that Walker held up as a model statewide and that caused such controversy. I talked to Lieutenant Governor Rebecca Clayfish about it.
Okay, quickly, let me ask you before we go what I brought up before. Most people think of him outside of Wisconsin as a presidential candidate down the road. How much will that help or harm him in his reelection bid? Has that been brought up as an issue by his opponent?
His opponents have brought up everything. You know what it reminds me of? Being in Paris 2 years ago when Sarkozy was defeated. The socialists had a party and sang and danced. not because Hollande won, but because Sarkozy lost. Now, in the case of Walker, my guess would be he will, once reelected, begin exploring a presidential bid. And I will tell you something. I've been in Pennsylvania. I've talked to politicians from Missouri. I was in Connecticut 2 weeks ago. The mention of him with the grassroots electrifies people. He'll be a formidable candidate when he runs. And I say when he runs because I believe Walker will walk, not run.
Gotcha.
Will run, not walk.
God, not walk. All right, John. Great talking to you, sir. See you soon. John Gizzi. When we come back, columnist and contributing editor for TheRoot.com, David Swerdlick.